That's at least, I'll be able to research a lot more as well.
Cool. Just based off of that and be able to dig deeper.
Kind of gives me like understand what we're trying to do, and then yeah,
cool.
So I guess there's a number of houses that we're interested in the Park Place area. I'm not there. I mean, especially the ones that you're saying anything that's over 90 days, you may end up. You're probably leaning more towards your single,
right?
And you are the multiple, and then the ones that are under 30 days on the market,
right?
Those you're probably multiple.
If they're priced well, if they show well, and we can look at the comps, we can look to see what's sold similar to that property to see who the highest comp is,
gotcha.
How are they priced in comparison to that, right? And we can tell real quick, okay, this one looks like it's priced well, it shows great, the photos are awesome, we know it's going to go into a multiple, so we walk into that, if it's a gotta have house, we got to come correct to try to win it, and come in and do it. That's why getting all the numbers figured out ahead of time takes a lot of pressure off. So when you come in, you already know it's like, all right, this is my comfort zone. This is going to be $3,200 a month or $3,300 a month, and I can offer full price and get it locked up and let's move, right? Or it's like we still want to try 10 under. Let's try it out. Let's see what we can do. At least we know we tried.
$60 a month.
Yeah, or 30. I mean, they may meet you halfway, so it can. But a lot of times we only get one first impression. So just be careful on that gotta have, because sometimes it's not worth it trying to negotiate, and then we miss out on the best one that we could have had, in the next 3 to 6 months. There are other things I wanted to cover with you, but it's as much time as you have. This is through the process here. Then the next thing, and what I printed out for you, was some of the market information so you can see what's happening. This is 93035. This is Oxnard. This is Camarillo. I'll pull up, this is all of our Oxnard here. So let's just, here, I'll just put it on here. Maybe if there's anything. So basically, on this report, let's just start with the Oxnard report, right? The key numbers, this talks about inventory. Are you okay in time? First of all,
just because no rush.
Okay. I'm good, man. I'm already going to take this off because a lot of hot air is coming out here. It's warm in here, but
hey, we're on the weekend, man. I'm dressed down too.
Hey, we're good. All right. So what we have here, the first key number, of course, it's on the back side. First key one is this absorption rate. So this again is all. We're looking at Oxnard or Camarillo? Which one do you have?
We're looking at Oxnard.
Okay, so Oxnard. For all of Oxnard, see that absorption rate? That's a number for your inventory. How thick the inventory is. So 6 months is that neutral market. Neutral market, meaning you have a buyer market and a seller market. This is all for negotiation.
Gotcha.
Okay. So the 6 month spot is dead in the middle.
Okay.
We're at 2.72 for all of Oxnard.
Okay.
That's low. That's very low inventory for all of Oxnard. If you look at last year, January 19, it was at 3.29 in January.
Yeah,
a lot of times it thins out. It's still not there yet. So if it's past the 6, it gets better. But that's almost a 20% decrease in terms of inventory right now. So that's why you're seeing this multiple offer. This hot stuff, you're not going to see it all the way through the year. Right. And that's what I was talking about. Usually, by the time kids get out of school to 4th of July, that's the slowdown. It took a little bit longer. It took almost close to 4th of July last year. But all my agents in the office started stressing out, like, okay, nothing's happening. These homes were selling like no problem the second they hit the market. Now it's crickets. No showing requests, no nothing. So it creates an opportunity, if you're still looking at that point, hopefully everything's all worked out, but if you are, that you can negotiate some better terms, save a little bit of money. Now, if this hot activity continues to pick up, then you're going to see prices start picking up as well, which looks like those are the trends right now with those low interest rates. So right now, once you got all your ducks in a row, you want to see out there when you find that opportunity and try to put it together.
So just for our perspective, as things are heating up right now, there will be a period where they drop off, and then we'll probably be like, oh my God, we bought it the wrong time, it drops. But that's something that, like, why I keep always looking at the year over year, and why these type of metrics really help, is it shows that it is going to dip at periods, and there's going to be times where you're like, shit, we're upside down. But that's where that 2.83% interest rate really kicks in, because when we're buying this house, because it's so high price, I don't care where you're looking at, it's high price.
Absolutely.
It's got to be an investment that is that 6, 8, 10 year type investment. It can't be 2 years from now selling it.
It's likely not going to be, but I can't guarantee that because 2 years ago, I thought we were at the peak 2 years ago. Everybody said it. The bottom of the market, and that's where I'll just get back into it, and it's easier when you see it drawn up, because this will put it in context and make it scary, but it's the reality, and that's what I'd rather put out there. That's the most important thing, because I don't want anybody that I represent to lose a property, basically. We had a couple of my close friends lost homes from the last market crash. So when I was in law school, it's like, look, when I get back, I want to figure out a way, how do I educate and how do I show in a way so that everybody is creating wealth through this and not overextending themselves into it.
Sure.
So I bought in 2004.
It's a good time.
It was okay. It was better than 2006. We paid $415 for a 3+2, about 1,200 square feet.
Gotcha.
Attached property. I think I shared that with you. 2004 went up to about 2006 was the peak then. Okay, went up to 550 was the highest point for that property. That property dropped down to 300,000.
9 or 8.
It wasn't right away, but it started hitting the very bottom of the market was 2011. So I would say about 8, 9, right, 10. This is where the market was at, right about 300. 2011, it starts spiking back up again. So the bottom of the market, though, what we call the trough, I'm probably spelling it wrong, but it's the bottom of the market was 2011. So typically, as we said, it's 5 to 7 years of growth, 5 to 7 of decline.
Yep.
Because there's always that correction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we had before, like 2008, though, was those toxic loans.
Right.
So it's negative AM loans, adjustable. So as the rates went up, people who were buying here were spending almost $3,000 a month on a no interest. It was a negative AM loan, meaning you're adding to the principal every month. Mm-hmm. And as that rate went up, their payment went up. So they started off at 3. Now they're looking at almost $5,000 a month to stay in the same little 1,200 square foot property, and they couldn't refinance because the prices started coming down. Oof. So, and like I said before, they stopped construction about 6 months before it started hitting. Because I was looking at buying my second property around 2006, and my client, my buddy, who we were going to invest together, was like, "Hey, we're pulling out." I was like, "What are you being chicken for?" He's like, "We stopped on building, on construction." He's like, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, market's going to shift." Sure enough, and he just bought a big house for about $800,000 right before this happened, and he bought it about the year before, so he got still a good value on it. But he sold 2 smaller properties, put $500 into that place, so it was only his mortgage was off $300,000. So his dropped from $800 to about, I'd say the lowest was about $550, just to put it in perspective. Okay,
$250 meal down, huh?
Yeah. Well, you should have heard every party we went to before that, and I started when I was 22. Yeah. So I was about 23, 24 when I'm working with them. Every party before that, this is my agent. He's like, "Look at this letter. We had a multiple offer situation out of 5 offers. He got it." He's like, he had it framed in his house, the letter that I wrote to get his offer accepted. Yeah. So proud. After the market crashed, he's like, "This is my agent right here. Exactly. This is the guy that got me stuck in this home." Right? This is my boy. Right. And he would mess with me, and he's a Chiefs fan of all. And so we went down to San Diego for a Chiefs game, and he's like, "I know times are tough right now." He's like, "Now it's my time to take care of you." I was like, "I appreciate that, bud. Thank you." So, so as we get down to here, so 2011, now we're up to, so that same property, 415, went up to 550. And I sold next door for 515. So a real number would really be about 515. 550 was the highest sale. Then down to 300. Right now, today, in 2020, it's worth 515 to 525.
Gotcha.
So we're almost at that same spot in terms of peak, right? Now, are we going to see another 2 to 3% appreciation this year? I think so. I think we're likely to still see a little bit of growth, but more of a steady out. And what we started seeing recently is the longer days on market. Yeah. But what you have to be prepared, if you look, 2006, 2020.
Yeah, that's your 14 exactly. Right. You had your 5.7, 5.7.
And it's actually, it's a little bit off because 2006 to 11 was only 5 years, right? It was more on the, it's 9 years on this part of growth. And the phases, it's low inventory, is huge, for the seller side in terms of prices going up.
Yeah.
Then it goes to hyper supply. Hyper supply means every seller feels like they missed the boat. They feel we're past the peak. They all put their house on the market. We get to a hyper supply. That's when you'll see things slow down tremendously. But I was already seeing this almost 2 years ago when I bought. Yeah. So I just bought in 2000. It was 2 years ago. It was 2017. So we bought in 2017 around May, multiple offer situation. I thought I was buying at the peak then because they kept telling us we're in a transitional market, it's going.
Yeah.
But it was a premium property. Since then, we bought it at 573. It just got appraised at 625. So we've gone up still almost $50,000 in that 2 year span. So that's what I'm saying. It's like it's likely 2 years from now that we're going to be correcting some, but I can't guarantee that.
True.
But what you want to do is make sure your payment is good for that long span.
Right.
Because if you're looking on the long side for the recovery, remember again, you could be in it, as we say, 10. It could be close to 14 years. True. And for a lot of people who bought around 2004 to 6, now they're calling me now 13 years later, 14 years later to sell. And the one who just moved to Idaho, he bought at 765 in 2006. We sold at 740.
Nice.
So got close to it, but he didn't get his full amount.
You feel like he didn't lose his butt.
Exactly. Well, and he paid the loan down over those 14 years, so he had So you're going to do that. So it's still a positive investment, but it's not something. I mean, you didn't get caught down here, right?
Yeah.
That's what you don't want to happen.
No, you don't want to sell on his tanks.
Exactly. So those are the things to look at when you're looking at your payment. What are the rental rates? Can you keep it comparable so that you can ride out anything you need to ride out if this happens? It's not if, it's when, and at what magnitude. And a lot of people say, oh yeah, we're not going to see this crash again. Nobody knows. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. I mean, especially world-wise what's happening. It's scary.
It's very volatile.
Exactly. Things can happen. So set yourself up on that payment. Make sure you feel good. But does this help in terms of the visual?
Cool. But yeah, I mean, that's something that I think that's just a very candid and honest approach because literally, I mean, if you thought it was high and you're from this area and you're like, yeah, it could be, it couldn't be, and obviously you don't have a crystal ball, otherwise you wouldn't be working here, working in Vegas somewhere.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's why we need to stay in a certain range, and
absolutely,
even though these houses
they
look amazing.
Don't push it to the limit. It's not worth it. And look for what has more upward potential growth, which typically means it needs a little bit more work right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's really interesting. The one even that we saw last week on Edgemont, that was just yesterday. No, it's getting more interest now because people are seeing the opportunity there versus these other ones that are more fixed up.
Right.
It's just, but they see it, 1,800 square feet, $620 price if you get it at the right price. The problem is by the time people start writing, they all start writing at the same time. Now that seller's going to get more than 620, either 620 or higher. So that's where the timing part comes in based on what it is that you're looking at. I think that's pretty, that's about as in-depth as I can get with it, other than knowing what happens here, right? What's going next, man?
What's behind the TV?
Yeah, we just know, with the cycles, that's typically what's going to happen, just in case there's anything else on here. Anything else you want to say on there? Okay, so now the next important thing on here, we talked about I don't give too much to the average list price, median list price. I mean, they're all numbers and you can look at them, but you can see average list price is up. This is in Oxnard, almost 26%. So the average list price in all of Oxnard is $937 average, and that's up from $740 last year. But that's list price. That doesn't mean sales price, right? So now you got your median. Median is $599 to $539, so right in the middle, that's where you're at. Still up 11%. So the higher end homes are coming on right now in Oxnard, which again, people who have money, who know, are trying to get it out, right? So that they can make their next move.
That's smart, because I mean, that's literally what, we're looking at some of them and think, man, everything else, it's relative, this is about what everything's selling for, but then you also got people that are very headsy and they're trying to get ahead of the market too.
Yeah.
Because who knows, maybe they got their insight that says they're slowing down with buying, or they're slowing down with building, and then now we're actually starting to hit that.
Yeah,
There's a roller coaster at.
There is, and a lot of people, actually, there's a lot of million-plus transactions that are happening right now. So people coming in that are buying the homes that still see more opportunity, or They've been waiting 10, 15 years to finally buy a house in this neighborhood, and now it's coming up. So you're seeing more of that happen now too. So down here, so the average sale price at 642, significantly less than that list price.
Yeah.
And it's up still almost 20% from last year, January 19. Most of the sales were around 539. I'm telling you, right before that, people thought we were in a transitioning market. And then you'd come down, these are the more important factors to me, is the average days on market. Median sale price, 552. So 552, and the year before that was at 46, so still 13%. So when I'm saying 2 to 3% appreciation, you could be looking at it literally, and this isn't exaggerating, you could buy something now and be looking almost 10% higher by the end of the year in your property. Now, if you hold it for less than 2 years, do you know about capital gains?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, 2 of the last 5 years.
15% or?
Yeah, so it's, well, you have state, and then you're going to have your federal on that.
Right.
From somebody who I know right now who's looking, it comes out to almost 30% between state and federal. And she cleared a lot. She bought in 2011 because her CPA was like, hey, you need the write-off. So she bought a property in 2011, only for the write-off.
Yeah.
Now she's looking almost $300,000 plus in equity.
Jeez,
and 100 of that's going to Uncle Sam now. And they're just shaking their head like, okay, but we don't want to sell our, because they got 2. Yeah. They got their main one that's more than likely paid off, but that's home, right? Yeah. This one was just for the investment. Jeez. And but
that's
now
a good problem to have, though.
it is a great. I mean, if the only way you're paying it, the only way you're paying it is if you did really well. Jeez. So now let's say it's the opposite. Say you buy now, and a year from now something happens. You're like, you know what, I got to go before this, and I sell. Yeah. And you're not making money, you're not going to pay any capital gains taxes on it, right? So it's all relative, and the only way you're paying it is if you're making money. Don't make the mistake I made in 2004. We were a year and a half. I sold my neighbors at 515. I'm like, cool, we can put ours on right now. We bought it at 415. That's $100K right there. And I bought it as a stepping stone, thinking make a little bit of equity, move it into the next one. Yeah. Instead, I think I'm being smart. I refinance it for a 10-year fix, which was conservative at that time. For interest only 10 years, almost $3,000 a month, not touching the principal every single month. It was crazy. When we refied and locked it, market tanks. 6 months after that starts coming down. And now we're stuck at that payment, almost $3,000 a month in a smaller house than we really wanted. And I could have sold it, but I didn't want to pay capital gains because I thought, okay, 6 more months from now, if the market's still good, we'll sell it and not have to pay that close to 30%, right? It cost, I mean, it dropped down to $300,000. So I could have been up 100, cashed out, and did what we needed to do, and I didn't, thinking I was being conservative for the long run, not realizing it was going to take almost 14 years to recover again. So it was a tough lesson. Thankfully, I was able to keep the place. Sure. But many others weren't as fortunate, and they're just like, all right, we just got to walk away. We can't handle this payment anymore, and you can't rent it for $4,000 or $5,000, right, for a little 1,200 square foot house. So just things to kind of keep in mind, and that's what I do, for my clients as well. As I set them up on these market update reports. So after you move in, you can get it every month or every quarter. You see what's happening. You see all the sales. It's all just coming to you. You don't even have to look. You click on it and it pops open. You see what your market report is. If it starts looking scary, it's like, hey, what's going on, man? What's going to happen? You're like, all right, got to be ready to ride it now. If that's the position we're in. The other things on here, so the average days on market. So you see 83. That's long. Yeah. When back when it was a hot market, you would see literally like 14 days, but it was right around 40 was pretty healthy. 80 is almost double the amount of time. Better for you as a buyer. Sure. Puts more stress on the seller, but these are all signs that the market's shifting. Yeah. Okay, the longer days on market. And the highest I saw it in 93035 was 160 days. So really slowed down in 93035, which is in Oxnard. It's closer to the water there.
So is it prudent to maybe rent for 6 months and then...
It could be. It's tough to say because this year, the thing is, when the prices come down, right, rates are going up. True. So it's a converse relationship.
If you do, and if you don't.
Right. So once the rates are up, now even though it's like, okay, we got a better price on it, now you're at a higher rate. For me, and anything, so if I Owned a house, we actually just refinanced our property too. You have to take advantage of the rates and lock it. It drops your payment significantly, but also changes your purchasing power. In terms of timing of it, and that's why, and I know you guys are right at that 3 to 4 year mark. You may want to watch. You may want to see what happens, even going in towards the end part of this year, and see what opportunities are there, because it will. I can't say it will guarantee, but I've seen it the last 3 years do the same thing. And right around those summer months is when it slowed down the most. And then usually the best buys were right around November, December. This last year, though, it stayed pretty decent. But it got real quiet. And my title reps are coming in. Nothing happening in LA. Nothing happening here. So, but then it's kind of, I want to say, crappier homes. So the homes that have more issues. Because they want less competition. So the premium properties are coming in the hotter part of the market, which is now, but you got to, so it's hard to just time it exactly, but this is obviously something
it's just like selling stocks. I did personal trading for a little bit. Sold the futures, horrible, lost my ass. But you're never gonna buy at the top, and you're never gonna buy at the bottom, and you're never gonna sell at the top, because you absolutely don't know, and it's too violent and it moves too erratically. Because you can have certain setups that, looking at this, be like, all right, well, if this is a pattern, this is what it's going to do. But then reality hits and it doesn't look anything like that. Now it looks like this. And no barometrics, no readings predicted that correctly.
That's great. So, that's great that you have that reference. And when I start getting into stocks, I'm going to be coming to you for
I wouldn't.
Well, you can tell me what to not do, right? What to make sure I stay away from.
Don't trust anyone that doesn't have experience with other people's money.
Right. No. Well, and I heard it's not good to go to those brokers for that. But no, there was something I was going to say. So basically, really the big question comes down to, if you think you can be in position to have a lot of cash to put money down, then wait. If you don't, if you think you're going to finance this purchase almost 100%, you got to do it soon with the low rates. Because typically when it does start coming down, it's going to be tough to finance. As the market comes down, the rates are going to be higher, and then all cash investors are coming in buying everything up. So that's the part that a lot of people try to time it for, that bottom part of the market, and didn't realize the other factors that start coming in with those cash investors is buying, and it's hard to
the credit market now. People that are coming in at 0 or 10% or under are not going to be. It's your time now, and then later that's your whales, your fat cats.
I would say the last 2 years, especially for VA with the low VA interest rates and no mortgage insurance, everybody else has about $200 to $300 a month in mortgage insurance that they're paying just to have a loan.
Yes.
Unless you have 20%
down. That's so counterintuitive. You're saying, hey, I need insurance against you paying your loan, but I'm going to tax you more, so it makes it even harder to pay your loan.
Well, because of what happened last time. Because of what happened last time, they want that insurance policy exactly. So if you default on that loan, they at least made that extra $200-300 every single month. That's all it is. I know, but at least for VA, that's why VA buyers have been taking advantage of the low rates and what you have. So you got more power now, and those are the things to look at, right?
You got 5%.
Just be careful in terms of getting those numbers figured out, and that's what you have to see. Okay, and it's not always the best interest rate. Sometimes it seems like it's the best interest rate. You got to look at the whole package. What are the closing costs? There's I wish I knew more on the lending side. I got enough to kind of get me in trouble, right? Maybe like the stock knowledge, right?
Enough to be dangerous.
Enough to be dangerous, right? But enough to smell BS as well, right? And so I can tell, okay, there's a little being charged a little bit too much on this closing cost here, or these origination costs. Let's, there may be somebody more competitive than that, right? And that's the relationship I built with the Jasen that I have been working, not Brent, not the one that you got, but with Jasen, is I know, and he'll tell me, hey, I can't beat that. You got to go with this guy over here. And my dad tells me, this Brent guy, he's got a little sales vibe to him, so be ready for that. But he's closed every transaction. He's been on it, and he's gotten the best rates. And that's where he's done things where, and I can't promise he'll do it, but where he's taken the appraisal fee, and you're not paying anything. He's covering that, as well as some other little things. But that's where my dad says he beats Navy Fed every single time, because a lot of the guys he's worked with, they automatically think, oh, no, I'm going Navy Fed. And now you don't even got your own broker who's in processing is kind of going through the funnel, So just little things there, but numbers you want to get figured out. Then we want to know market, what's happening, what properties are good. So the quicker that you can learn what's happening in that learning curve, then you're going to know, okay, this is the house. Yeah. And that's where it's like, okay, you ask me and I'll tell you. It's like, I know or I don't know. We need to do a little bit more research on this and dig into it.
It almost seems like, so the multiple offers, it almost seems like you want to engage multiple houses as well.
Right.
And does that cost you extra to do that?
No.
To make
multiple offers, right? It's in true representation, right? In true representation of what it is that you're going to be doing. Yeah. Unless you can qualify to buy 2 houses, you shouldn't be doing it. Right, so because when you write, well, you shouldn't be, right? Yeah. Now, in terms of what people are doing to counter the multiple offer, that's what they have to do. They're doing it and they're writing. But if that offer is being used and it's being milked, right, to get other offers and do this bidding war, right? If that happens, then we start looking at what else is out there and start writing and moving forward.
Do they always have 3 days?
Not always. That's what I'm saying. If we shorten that expiration.
Because my wife tried to buy commercial real estate and they had 60 days.
Wow.
And so she waited 60 days because they were trying to get multiple offers in there.
And 60 before they had to respond?
Yes.
That's insane.
And literally at the end of it, and then she was she was upset about the whole deal. And, I was like, well, to me, as you say, you got to be prepared to buy 2 houses. But I think, man, if I got to wait this long, you're going to put me in a bad spot because you're waiting for yours. And I just say, screw it.
Well, that's what we tell them. So, and I had to do this with one of the top agents in me. And basically, we write the offer on the Friday. My client likes it. It's like, let's write full price. That sounds good. Let's go. So we write it up. I said, I need to get, oh, she's in New York. It's going to take 3 days. I said, that's a problem. You need to talk to my guy right now. Call Jason, got all the numbers. Jason wrote the pre-approval for me so I could submit the offer. Put a 24-hour expiration, so it was like 7 o'clock on Friday. I remember I was with the kids in Santa Barbara at the zoo, and as I'm talking to this agent. Actually, they weren't going to respond. So I call up and I tell them, I said, hey, our offer expires at 7 o'clock. But I talked to my client before. I said, look, are you willing to let me say, hey, you need to give us a response by 7 or we're out? Yeah. And he said, absolutely. I don't want them using my offer to create a multiple. I said, that's a smart move. So I call him up. I said, okay. I said, it expires at 7 o'clock. If we don't hear anything, our offer's done. We're looking somewhere else. Gotcha. Within the hour, we got our counter back. So they sent that counter to right before it expired, and it was tough terms. And I told them the same thing. I said, you got a single counter offer here. It's tough terms. It's in their favor. They shortened the contingency periods, so it wasn't 21. Now it's like do everything in 14 days, right? So it put the pressure. And that's common in a multiple. You'll see it. And then sometimes they'll try to get you to waive the appraisal. Well, with VA, you have the VA FHA amendatory clause that says if it doesn't appraise at this price, you have a way out of the contract. Okay. So they'll still try to do it, but you at least have that additional form that gives you a way out.
Gotcha.
Okay. But those are things that they'll try to do in a multiple counter and negotiating to say, okay, you say 660, yeah, we're gonna see if you put your money where your mouth is, right? Because they want to make sure that if that appraisal comes in, they're still getting their 660 number because they're picking you over everybody else. And if we say, hey, we're solid, we got the money, we can do it. That's why if I have a bunch in the bank, I'm also going to show them proof of funds or even a retirement account. Yeah. It doesn't even have to be cash. It could be a retirement, and I show that as well, and that shows strength for me as a buyer, more than just a pre-approval, more than those things. So any little thing like that helps. Yeah. Okay. Right? Just little details, but no, it's good we're having this up front, and I just appreciate you taking the time to come out here so that we can do it.
And you as well, man. I mean,
thanks.
Family's here.
Yeah,
mine's not.
It's
when I'm deployed, man, I couldn't care less like what the hours are. Because I mean, sitting in there watching a movie or reading up on a book. I mean,
I got a practice tomorrow night for my daughter, and then one on Wednesday. So I got those 2 coming up. So it's the same thing. It's like we try to do it during the week. Then now I start cutting into my practice time with them as well. And I also, as I told you before, I got my mom. It's both my parents. And then I also got now my brother Matt, and his wife, Brittany. So at any point in time, you got, support in terms of if you need to go see something, I'll still negotiate. I'll still be the point of contact to the agent to make sure that we're getting you the terms and getting your offer accepted.
It's a good network and you got coverage.
You have to, especially while I was managing the 50 agents, and I had to do it, and we still were producing at a pretty high level. So I had like 20% of my time available, 80% where I'm overseeing, training, doing it.
Yeah.
But we still did more business. We were like still top 3 or 4 out of 50 agents in the office in terms of production. But it's delegation, and it's doing the high level things, as you know, that are important to make sure your offer gets accepted, that they know that you have your team in place to get it done. You know, as well as the other pieces, escrow, loan officer, right? Whoever, all these different people that have reputations that know, okay, they don't want to mess with our business because we're not going to give them future business as well. You know, just little things. But when you get time, I'm not going to go through all the detail of it, but look at the different price points. Yeah. So between 5 and 6, 31 there. 31 that's sold in all of Oxnard between 5 and 600,000. Okay. Yeah. And then you can see the difference between 6 and 7, only 8. Then on pending, same thing. 5 to 6, 35 went into escrow. Pending is in escrow. That means offers accepted. Yeah. It's in escrow. On Zillow, and that's what I was telling you, mentioning before, and I hate doing it by text because you never know what the tone is or what it means. But Zillow keeps stuff showing active because they sell their leads to different agents, right? So agents are paying for that. If it's in pending, a buyer's not going to click on it if they can tell it's already gone or already sold. So a lot of times it shows active, and when you're going through that and you're calling, then these agents call up, and what happens is where before they had no issue with you as a buyer even working with myself or whoever else with your representation. Mm-hmm. But once they think that they could potentially work both sides and now you show up with an agent, pisses them off. Gotcha. And then they could start telling you things like, oh, yeah, you can write 10 under, but they're assuming you're going to work with them, right? So they're thinking they're getting 2 commissions. Yeah. So it just can lead to issues like that, and that's part of where it's a trust. And I have the talk with anybody who decides they want to work with me because I know what I can do to give you that best opportunity. Mm-hmm. But there are times, and my last client at River Park did it. She's like, heard something about like the seller out of the multiple offer picked them because they met face to face and talked. She's like, is it okay if I go visit? I definitely got to shut this off right here. I gotta put this one on. I know we're good, but I'll just to be continue this, right? It's probably done. Did I do that right? No. Yeah, and we'll wrap it up because I know we've gone over a lot, but hopefully this is